Hey guys. Alright, welcome back to our weekly live event. I'm going to talk about credit, finance, real estate investment, and about business. So we got Vico, who wants to join the live. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much. How's your day been?
Not bad, thank God.
Exactly, thank God. So what question do you have for me today?
Well, I'm waiting for the rest of the group. You do an amazing job. I'm following you from Jersey.
Thank you. I actually grew up in New Jersey.
How's up the houses, the 9 units?
9 units are doing really good. I think we're about 50% through the project. A lot of the heavy lifting is done. So it's going to be going pretty good going forward. It's going to go really smooth. Right now we're getting the paintings finished in 2 of them. We're about to get cabinets up, tiles going up in the bathrooms. So a lot of good stuff. We had someone come check out the 3-bedroom. And initially I was saying like $1,800 for the 3-bedroom, and now basically that was pre-rental. So I told them it's $2,000 for the month, and they said they want to take it. So that's awesome. That's an extra $2,400 a year. So $200 per month means the property value went up $30,000. Every $100 you increase the rent is $15,000 in property value increase. That's in Florida. In New Jersey, it's even higher. So if you increase the rent probably in New Jersey, $100 a month, that makes the property value go up $20,000.
Wow, what's good advice?
What part of New Jersey are you from?
East Brunswick.
I grew up in like Patterson, Prospect Park.
Oh, okay.
My wife grew up in Bergenfield.
It's like an hour away from East Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
More north.
So what has you following the page?
The way you're doing like the renovation of the houses and all this, I'm trying to be in the market, but I'm not sure if I'm starting in North Jersey. My cousin also lives in Tampa.
All right.
So he keep telling me like move to Florida and start, flipping houses and make money. So that's why I start following you.
It's definitely a good place to do business. Jersey is also a good place to do business. New Jersey, you're more in the, a lot of the people will buy a property, bulldoze it, and build a brand new house. That's more the style. And then they'll buy properties, renovate it, and sell it. It's not really it's not as much as a rental prop market because of the cap rates. They're a lot lower over there. But what that means is if you can fix it up and rent it out for a high amount of money, if you sell it, you're going to make a huge profit.
But there's something in New Jersey, something recently, it's about like the investment property. When I sell it, they take in a lot of taxes, like the investment property on it. They add a loan.
In federal and in state, if you have a short-term hold period, if you hold any investment less than a year, you have a higher tax bracket. So if you are holding it for more than a year, you reduce it's called a long-term capital gain, which reduces your tax bracket. So I learned a lot of this stuff because I have an accounting firm and I have an insurance agency for real estate investors. So I learned a lot of these different things. Now, the other part, though, if you put it within an LLC, it can help you reduce your tax liability that way as well.
Okay. So as long as I hold it more than a year.
Yeah, so if you're buying it, renovating, and then rent it out for like 6 months and then sell it, which is going to give you a better sale price anyway, because now you're going to show, look, it's been renovated, we've had it for a year, and now I'm listing it for sale. It's probably going to build more confidence in from the buyer.
Okay, I got you. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If I have any questions, I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted.
Sounds good. You have a good day.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. All right, guys. Anybody else has any other questions, feel free to request to go live. Everybody's welcome. So I have a question here from Orent Thomas. It says, what type of properties do I invest in? And I prefer multi-unit rentals and multi-unit commercial property. I don't prefer any single tenant building. It's not my style. Some people make a lot of money doing it. It's just not my style. So yeah, but I prefer multi-unit commercial and residential property. I like, I'm willing to be in mobile home parks. I'm willing to be into like storage units, all that stuff. I got another question here. What's up, DJ? Mike and a wife. Do you have to pay all money up front when purchasing a foreclosure? How do foreclosures work? So that is contingent upon what type of foreclosure you're buying and the requirements of the bank. So sometimes I buy a foreclosure from the bank and they allow financing. So they'll give you time to do financing. Some situations when you're buying from the bank, say at like the courthouse, they might not. Sometimes they will, but sometimes they might not allow you to get financing, and they might require you to pay cash at closing. With you cannot have any contingencies. So it really depends on your scenario. Most of the time, though, if you're buying on the MLS, a foreclosure from the bank, you can get financing. But here is the tip: if you're getting in there and you're saying, I'm going to buy it with financing, and someone else says, or I'll give you, no, you're going to say, I'm going to buy it with financing, and I have contingencies on inspections, I have contingencies upon financing, I have all these contingencies, like what if. All these what ifs have to happen for you to buy it. The bank's going to see that and be like, that's a lot of what ifs. Now, someone else says, I'm going to get bank financing, but there is no contingency on inspection. There's no contingency upon bank financing. So that means if I screw up, you get to keep my $3,000 deposit. That's option 2. And let's make believe you're all the same offer. Option 3, that person says, I'm going to pay all cash or hard money, no contingencies on financing, no contingencies on inspections. You can see that even if offer 3 was less money, the bank might take that offer compared to the first offer and the second offer, because it's less risk for the bank. The bank doesn't have to be concerned if you're going to come up with the money or if you're going to change your mind later. I think, what are they thinking? So sometimes I come in and I'll say, no contingencies. If you take my price, I don't care what's wrong with it. Because at my price, I'm okay with any problems popping up because I still have a lot of profit left in it. And so the situations where, your offer, if it's a very desirable property, your offer must be very aggressive so they could pick you over other people. If you're in a market where you're like, every single time I'm putting an offer, there's 20 people putting an offer, you got to think, what is my offer going to say that's going to make them want to pick my offer? Okay? Remember that. Good question. All right, let's see. Edson says, when will you start offering classes? Whenever I do anything, like I do one-on-ones, I have a week-long live event that I'm going to be having where people can come and follow me. If you guys are interested, DM me. If I do anything, I make sure I give extremely high quality, because if I take anybody on, I want to make sure they buy a deal. And if they already have rental properties, I want to make sure they can level up to the next level. So I take everything very seriously. In that, I've created the outline for a class. I now have to film that class. So it's in the works, but I really want to put out a good product so where you guys are going to benefit a lot. Again, if you want focused attention, I do one-on-ones. And again, there's that week-long live event. So if you're really serious about buying an investment property or scaling up your business to the next level, you really should come to that, because that's going to really take you to the next level in confidence and knowledge base for you to be able to grow your portfolio. Thanks, Edison. Adam says, Kela, Carnal, Viva, La Raza. All right, don't know Spanish. So proud of how you progressed. Truly an inspiration. Thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate it. I'm really just out here trying to help you guys and help everybody progress. What's up, PSC? Orient, what's up? DJ says, when you have a 401k and how the market is going, would you take half the 401k, invest in real estate? So you must be very careful when you take money out of your 401k, because any money you take out of your 401k, it is taxable as income. Now, I don't know if you put it in as a 401k investment as pre-tax or post-tax, but you have to consider the tax consequences. And if you're not of age to make a withdrawal, you will have a penalty on top of the tax consequence. So be very careful and look in the details before you make that decision. Now, do I put a lion's share of my money into the real estate market compared to 401k? Yes. I believe that you're going to make a ridiculous amount of money in real estate. I think that you're not going to pull the same amount of money in a 401k. Now, there is one factor that I really want you to consider. If your company is matching you 50% or 100%, then that is really good. So if you put in 6% and they give you an extra 6, or you put in 6 and you give you an extra 3, then that's a good idea. They're giving you free money, and I'll take it. But anything more than that, I never put it in, because I just didn't see a point, because I can go get a real estate loan and get 5 times on my money, and then that appreciates significantly better than the market does. And I have control. So another point is you are allowed to withdraw out of your 401k without a penalty as a first-time home buyer. So you can use the money up to, I think it's $10,000, to buy real estate with it. And they will not charge you a penalty on that $10,000 withdrawal, but you will still owe the tax due if you put it in pre-tax. So look into the details and just make sure you understand what you're doing when you're doing it. But good idea. Edison, you're welcome, buddy. I'm here for you. Mike and wife, you are welcome. What's up, DJ? Or Diego, Vico. All right, next question looks like here. Ray says, you're the realest dude I know on IG. I like you're humble and share your knowledge with others. Thanks, Ray. Barack says, does a recession affect tenant occupancy turnover? Great question. Answer is 100% it does. Now, I had properties in the south side, like in the south side, and I had very high turnover rates. But the south side also is known to be a cash cow and make a lot of money. So each market has its play. Where you're in a cash cow market, the reason it's a cash cow is because you have more issues and it needs to be more hands-on. Things break more often, you gotta evict people more often, you gotta turn over tenants more often. And because of that additional work, additional risk, you get an additional return. That's 101 of investing in anything. Higher risk, more labor, more return. And you get paid for managing properly. In my nicer area, my return on investment is usually lower on, say, the rental side, right? Your cap rates are usually lower in the nicer areas. But your occupancy is usually higher and you have less issues and tenants usually take care of things better. I'm generalizing this, but I'm trying to give you a high level view of things, right? Each market's different, but I'm just going to give you an overall view. I have another low-end market in Newport Richey, and same thing. Those areas, the lower end areas that you could buy properties cheaper and you get higher cap rates where you can find cash cows. You do make a lot of money during the good times because everybody's working. Unfortunately, during the bad times, those areas suffer, the lower end workforce suffers, and does not have the money to pay the rent. So there will be more evictions at that time. And the people that are in the middle to higher end areas that have more stable jobs are able to pay the rent consistently. So kind of consider it in that fashion, like, who am I renting to? When I say who, I'm referring to who as a profession am I renting to? Am I renting to a nurse? A teacher? Those jobs are very consistent. Their money is consistent. It's all consistent. Okay? Am I renting to someone that has a bartender, right? Where if they're bartending in a lower end area, that people might not have money. If they're bartending in a high end area, they might still have money. So there's certain factors that you have to consider when you're choosing your tenants, and the income consistency. So don't just take in, well, oh, they said they make a lot of money. Where's the money coming from? What profession is it? Now, I'll give you an example. Plumbers and electricians and air conditioning guys make a lot of money. But as you all know, back in 10 years ago in 2008, when the market tanked, no one was getting anything fixed. So what happened? All of them didn't have any money. And unfortunately, they weren't saving money either, and a lot of them were going through difficulties. So be considerate on who you're renting to and what will happen when the market goes down. Consistency of income will determine the consistency of your rents. Great question. All right. Let's see here. What's up, Andy? Josh has a question. Given an upcoming recession, what is the best way to hedge your portfolio? Coming from someone just getting started. All right. So I buy in the area that is desired. And being that it's an area that's desired, and at the same time, at points where people that are making, middle range salaries, like a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, 2 roommates that are making $35,000 a year each, or $30,000 each, they can afford $1,500 rent. They can afford $1,800, $2,000 rent. I'm in that zone. Because I'm in that zone, I'm not concerned if the market's going to go down, right? I'm also buying in an area that's in high demand, where I know the prices of the areas will go up over time, right? Because I'm not hedging on, is the price going to go up over 5 years, which is really would be awesome if you could flip and make a ton of money in 5 years. But if it doesn't, I'm still fine, because I know over the next 10 and 20 years, that area is going to be on fire, and is going to, when the market corrects, I'm going to have a huge shot up. So position your portfolio in areas where you're going to be happy owning and you're proud to own a property in. So that's what I would do. Now, again, I would be careful of owning, like, a really great place to own by where I live is called St. Petersburg. I used to own stuff there. I don't anymore. Now, downtown St. Pete's on fire. I wish I bought something back then. I had a great opportunity to buy a really nice complex, and I didn't. Now, old stubborn me would have been like, young stubborn me would have been like, oh, I'm going to go buy one now since I have the money. Well, I know now it went up a lot. And I know when the market corrects, it's going to come down a lot. Because the prices there went up so high, and they're building so many condos there, that anywhere where has massive amount of condos being built when economy is good, and we all have a feeling something's going to happen next year or two, it's going to come down. So don't make that mistake, where I'm careful that there's parts of St. Petersburg that's on fire right now, and parts of Tampa that's on fire right now, and that fire being hot is going to be a bad fire. They're going to have fire sales, where they're going to be selling everything so cheap. Because when the market tanked in 2008, You could buy an old penthouse. Now again, it's an older building, but it's still a penthouse suite for $150,000. Stupid cheap. If that happens again, and I'd be happy if it happened again, I'm gonna buy myself a penthouse. Now Airbnb it, and I'll use it on the side once in a while when I want to go and like have fun and whatever. So, be considerate of that stuff, right? So I prefer those type of properties, especially now where like, yeah, there is value for people desiring to be there, but there is at the same time that value of consistently being able to rent it to people that can afford it consistently, right? Consistency is really important at this point in time. And what's good, but some people are like, oh, why don't we wait another year or two to buy something? One, we don't know how bad it's going to be. And I don't think it's going to be super bad, right? Maybe 10, 15% correction in pricing, not a major drop. But if you're buying right and you're already buying stuff at 10, 15% reduction, then what does it matter to you? It shouldn't matter. And if you're buying a good spot at a good price and you're renting it out and bringing in consistent money, that's way more important, bringing in that consistent money. Because it'd be very good to have that consistent money coming in when things go down, because you have all this cash flow. And that's what's nice about me. I'm selling some of the properties I don't love, and only a couple, but a huge portfolio section of my portfolio, 80%, I'm keeping. Just letting that money keep flowing in every month. And now I have that money. I'm going to buy more deals. Good question. Mr. says, looking to make my second purchase. What should I wait? If you buy a good deal, I was actually with one of my mentors today, right? And he owns a lot of properties. Back in 2008, when everyone started foreclosing, and so the bank let him borrow about $500 million, and he took that money and he would loan it out to other people. So he took the money and loaned it to other people, and they called in his loan for $500 million. And he's like, I can't get you that money. I loaned it to the other people. Like, we agreed on these terms. So that guy is still buying today, right? But the part of buying is buying good deals. Up markets, down markets, sideways markets. The deal is what matters, not the market. So every deal is contingent upon the market to be good. That's another point you should remember. Good question. Mary says, hello, great info. Thanks for help. You're welcome, Mary. Cass, drooling faces. Thanks. Don't really know what that means, but thank you. Ray says, do you invest in California? I don't invest in California. I like investing in Florida. I think Florida is like a sick market to be in. Florida is kind of like the Wild West with everything. You have, and given that it's the Wild West, you have a lot of opportunity for these gold rushes. And I think there's still a gold rush in real estate. And there's so many different types of markets in Florida that it's really good to be in. I like it. Plus the tax benefits, you don't have a state tax, right? In California, you have a 13% state tax. We don't have one at all. So I can make 13% less money than you, and we're still even. So, I kind of like it here. Plus our cap rates are way better. Your cap rate over there is like 3 to 5%. I can pull an 8 cap all day, if not a 10 cap. And if you're doing, and I do value add deals, so normally my cap rates are like 16 cap by the time I'm done within the first year. So it's a different animal. And anything, if you guys ever want a JV, hit me up. We might be able to figure something out. Mary says, I have a 2-family home that has a good amount of equity, but my mortgage guy said my DTI is too high to get any money out of it. How do I overcome this? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, right? So I would need to review your financials. Obviously, I have a accounting firm, I have an insurance agency, and I'm opening up a lending company, right? We already do hard money loans and business loans, but we're going to be doing regular home loans as well. I would have to review it. But the only thing that would make sense, right? Option is 1. you're not claiming all the money you're making on your rental property. Option 2, you are claiming the expenses that should be depreciated as a current expense instead of a depreciated expense, which is making your income look lower than it is. Option 3, you have high credit card debt or high car loans. Those are the 3 most likely options on what is screwing up your DTI. Because if you have a property with a lot of equity and it's a 2-family house, or option 4, you could have made more money in the past and then you lost your job, or someone in your household lost their job. Those are the factors that are last factors if you've owned the home a very long time and you've never increased the rent on your tenant. That's a factor. Like if you have a ridiculously low rent for your tenant. But, all those can be overcome. I do not have a contractor's license. The question was, do I have a contractor's license? The answer is no. Mike and wife says, is it a good time to purchase a home being that a recession is around the corner, or wait until the market does tank and then purchase? So, one, I don't know if you're meaning purchasing a home or purchasing an additional rental property. But if you're buying in a good area and you're buying it at a good price, I don't think that it's going to be more than a 10 or 15% correction. So if you're buying a property that's preferably a fixer-upper, where you can add value, then it won't matter. You're going to build in your 10, 15% profit, and if it goes down, you're at a break even. It's not a huge deal. If you're not really super hungry for a bigger home, I would just buy a multi-unit building. I would buy a duplex, triplex, or quadplex and just keep making money. Celia. Hello. How are you, Celia? I am Charles Bronze. Says, hi, sir. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Mr. Evia says, excellent, thank you. I appreciate it. The info, brother. You're welcome, brother. Artistry Freeman. Smiley face, heart eyes. Cool. Edgar says, what do you think about buying properties from sheriff sales? So, I don't know what you're referring to as a sheriff sale. I am assuming you're meaning from the county, right? And if you're buying a property from the county, be careful. 1, you don't know if you're just buying tax lien. So if you're just buying the tax lien, you're only buying the tax lien. You don't know if it has a first mortgage, second, third, fourth mortgage. Again, if you're buying the first mortgage, you don't know if it has a second, third, fourth, fifth position lien. So be considerate on what you are getting yourself into. So if you buy it thinking you have it free and clear, what free and clear means is this. When you buy it and you buy it from the courthouse, that there is no other liens on it and you can sell it and get all the money from the sale. If it has other liens, that means you have to pay the other people as well. All you did is bought one lien position. Let me give you an example. You're buying a house at the courthouse steps. You're buying a $200,000 house, and that person has a first mortgage of $100,000. If you're buying it and you're going there, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this house that's worth $200,000 for $100,000, and you bid it up and you buy it at the courthouse for $100,000. You might think, all right, I got a $200,000 property for $100,000. I'm gonna put in $30,000. I'm in for $130,000 and I'll sell it for $200,000 and I make $70,000 profit. Right? Simple math. But if you're not buying it, that's free and clear. You're only buying it. You're only winning the first lien position. You can have a second mortgage for $20,000. You can have a lien from, say they wanted to put in a pool, right? And they put in a pool. but they never paid the guy. So the pool contractor put a lien on the house. They put on a new roof, never paid the roofer. The roofer put on a lien. They never cut their grass. The city put on a lien for cutting the grass for them. They could have a lot of liens. The water company could have put a lien because they never paid their water bill. There could be a bunch of liens that you don't know on there. Sometimes these city liens, no joke, $150,000. $150,000. The good news is, many times cities will reduce their $150,000 liens to $2,000. It happens. What I'm saying is, be conscious in what you're doing, because you don't want to be accidentally make a bid on something and not know what you're getting yourself into. So, good question. Josh says, if we only have a small amount of money to invest in, would mobile home be a good idea? Mobile homes is a pretty good idea, but be careful, because you can be considerate of the condition of the mobile home. Because a lot of times you could buy a mobile home for like $5,000 and need like $50,000 to fix it up. So not so much a good deal. What you might want to do though is maybe first-time home buyers only requires 3.5% down. So you could buy like a duplex for $100,000 or $200,000, and then you only have to put down like $7,000, and closing costs about $5,000. So maybe like say $10,000 out of your pocket, and then you can own a duplex, and that's a concrete block building. That's a solid building, and it might be better off for you, even though you have a loan. Loans are not a big deal. Just make sure you're collecting enough money to pay your bills, your mortgage, taxes, and insurance, and pocketing some money for anything that could break. So mobile homes are a good option, but just make sure what you're buying so you don't end up having so much deferred maintenance in them. All right, good question, Josh. Josh has another comment, says, if so, how should I calculate estimated rental prices? I'm assuming flipping a mobile home would not be very profitable. Some people have been able to make a decent profit from flipping mobile homes. It really is contingent upon how much it's worth. It's called ARV. You'll hear it a lot. ARV means after renovated value. So first, you must do research in your market, and that's why I always say, know your market. Do research in your market. In your market, you'll see, say the mobile home is worth, remodeled, $75,000. And you're buying that mobile home for $15,000. You got to figure out, what's it going to cost me to fix this place up to make it worth $75,000? If you figure out it's going to cost me $55,000, that means you're in for $70,000. What are you going to make $5,000 for all your work? And then you find out, well, the realtor fees and the taxes and everything else cost you $5,000. You just basically got a hobby, right? You're not making money. It's just a hobby. So you need to figure out, what is your ARV after renovated value. You're going to figure out what's your ARV for your rent. So what is your after renovation value for the rent? What is current value? And what is current rent in the current condition? So then you can calculate what's it going to be for selling, and you can calculate what's it going to be for renting. And then you can and then finally, you can see, what is my return on investment for adding, so what I do is I have properties I've owned for 10 years. So I'll stop, and this is really cool. I'll stop and I'll look at it, right? And I'll say, I have $50,000 right now. Should I buy another building for $250,000 and get this much rent? Or should I take this $50,000 and put it into a duplex or a quadplex that I currently own? And if I put this $50,000, I can make the rent go up this much. Now let me figure out what that amount of money is per month, and let me divide that off of the money that I'm put in. What is my return? What is my return on investment, right? And I'm going to figure out, okay, I'm going to make 35% of my money. I'm going to put in $50,000, and I'm going to increase rents on my fourplex about, let's say $15,000 a year. I'm going to make an additional $15,000 a year for putting in this $50,000. Or I can put in $50,000 into buying a duplex or a quadplex, buying it at $250,000 and putting $50,000 down. And as is, not upgrading anything to that property, I'm going to make 20% on my money. I'm going to make $10,000 a year. I might say, I'd rather upgrade my current property than buy that other property because I'm going to make more money that way. Or I could say, I think the market in this area is going to go up significantly, so I'd rather take smaller money today because I know future money is going to be better. And when I get a little bit more money, I can actually invest another $10,000, $15,000 in this property and make the rent go up $10,000, $15,000, and now I get 100% return on my renovation budget. So I didn't make money on the initial purchase, but my renovation is going to make me make a ton of money. So there's many ways to calculate it. And that's one of the things my accounting firm does is I calculate those numbers for people to say, if you do this, this might happen. If you do that, this might happen. And this is based off of the information on your area, based off of your rentals, the stuff in your area. That's why I'm very adamant about saying, know your market. You should know it better than anybody else. And when I was 19, I knew it better than the realtors that I was using to buy the properties. I knew it. They would tell me, why are you buying this place? And I said, I would give them the numbers. I was like, give them all the numbers. Boom, 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 boom. This is why. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, does this make sense? They're like, yes, it makes sense. I said, well, why wouldn't I buy it if all this is true? You know? So if you study your numbers and you know your market, you're going to make a lot of money. So when I was 14, I wanted to start buying real estate because I fell in love with real estate. I ran hundreds of properties. I just make believe, like fantasize and imagine it. And I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this one, and this is how much down I'd put on it, and then I'd spend like $5,000, upgrade it, and I'd paint it and put in new tile, and I'm gonna paint it myself, and I'm gonna tile it myself, so I don't have to pay money for people to do it. I'll do it myself and save money, and I'm gonna increase the rent this much, and this is my mortgage, and this is my taxes, and this is my insurance, and I'm going to make this much every month, and after like 2 years, I'll make this much money from the rent, and in 2 years, it's going to be worth this much money, and I just play that. Now, make believe you did that 100 times. Imagine how well you're going to know your area. Imagine how well you're going to know, hey, these 4 blocks, they're fire. They're worth a lot. But these other 2 blocks over here, closer to the train tracks, aren't worth as much money. And this over here, closer to the dog park, is good. But this one over here, next to the school, is not good, right? You're going to know that. And who knows? In a different city, it's the opposite. Dog park is bad. School is good. It depends on your area and your surroundings, right? So you're going to figure that out. And by studying your market, you're going to know what's good. Right? And other people won't even know what's going on, but because you ran 100, you're making money. I'll give you another example. My best friend, his sister is like, hey, I have money. I want to invest in the stock market. What do I do? I want to put in my 401k. What are my options? And I said, and again, I do retirement planning as well. So I said, well, you could do this, you could do this, you could do that. I gave her some options. I said, but Gail, you don't own your own house. And she's like, yeah, but I don't know. I'm renting right now. I'm fine. I said, okay, true. You're renting right now. You're paying $1,200. If you bought your own house, you're probably going to pay $1,200. And you can get a 3-bedroom for that price because back then the homes were a lot cheaper. And you can rent out 2 rooms. And by that, the money you collect from your roommates, you're going to live for free. So let's just make believe you don't make any money on the house going up in value. You save $1,200 a month. So that's $15,000 a year. And you can take $10,000 out of your 401k, and it's not taxed because you're for your first home. And now you just made 150% return on investment because you're saving $15,000 a year for that $10,000. So she'd end up, and I told her this. I said, before you buy anything, you will check 100 houses. And what she did is I was expecting her to check 100 houses on like Zillow and Realtor.com and all those websites, right? So you can check the houses with all the pictures, and you can walk the streets through Google. I mean, it's technology is awesome now. It's not like 10 years ago you couldn't do all that. I used to have to drive around and do that like in person. So, well, my friend is a realtor, and Gail went to Allah, she's a realtor, and she made Allah go to 100 houses in person And she was so mad at me because she was like, "How you made her look at one house? I had to take her to 100 houses." I said, "Do you know how much time that took me?" I said, "I didn't think she was gonna do it like in person. I was just telling her to look at 100 houses like on the computer. I mean, I didn't think she was gonna take it like literally." So it was really funny. The point of the story is though that $10,000 investment, right? She sold it 3 years later. She sold it and made profit $60,000. That's ignoring the fact that she saved $15,000 a year in rent. So she did $45,000 in rent. So that $10,000 investment made her / saved her $105,000. You can see, if you play the real estate game, if you play the personal finance game, you use all those little tricks that are available to every American, you can win. It's not just for the select few. It's for the people that know the rules and play by the rules. So, all right. So let me see. John says, if so, how should I calculate estimated rental, assuming flipping, blah, blah, blah. Again, you have to check your markets to see what the market rate is. Zay says, profit from the sale of a home can be transferred to buy another, but what is the time frame? So what you're referring to, well, one, if it's an owner-occupied property and you've lived in it for 2 years of the last 5 years, you can make $250,000 of profit as a single individual and $500,000 in profit as a married couple. So you don't have to transfer it, it's just no tax on it. If it is an investment property, there's a thing called a 1031 exchange. And a 1031 exchange says that you are going to basically, I'm going to simplify it for you, right? There's a lot of little things you have to do, but simply put, 6 months. You have 6 months to do a like-kind exchange. And it's a good thing. Then you can transfer the taxes you have to pay to a future date. Good question. Oscar says, made fake you, something, different language. I don't understand. Born with Silver Spoon says hello. Oscar says thumbs up. Angela says hello. Enrique says, we're at, not in Cali. I don't know what you're referring to. Zay says, in order to avoid tax factor. Oh, 1031 exchange, 6 months. Zay says, how can I do a lien search on a property if I am buying the property through a deed sale? Normally, how I do it, and again, this is in Florida, you have to kind of do a little bit more research for Cali, is I actually I call my title insurance agent, the person that when you close in Florida, you buy title insurance, which basically says they're giving you insurance saying that you're going to get free title when you buy this property. So I call my title insurance agent and say, hey guys, this is the property I'm looking at. Can you please do a title search for me? And then you'll pay them like $100 and they'll do the search for you. And they'll tell you if there's anything out there that's not seen, you know? So that's what I would do. Josh says, I hear you with the duplex. They are hard to find in Tampa unless I can find them at auction, which is hard because I don't have the hard money lender. If you need hard money lenders, let me know. We have options for that. But again, I'm in the Tampa Bay area too. Is it easy? It is not easy. Is it worth waiting to find a good deal? It is worth it. So normally though, Josh, I'm telling you right now, like day one, if I'm not on it, day one, I'm not getting the deal. I mean, most of the deals I've gotten, the last 3 years I've gotten, the last year and a half, hour one, within the first, I'm going to say 10 minutes, I call and say, I'm going to buy it. So I let one, it was a portfolio of 5 duplexes, right? They were asking 1.1 million. And I was trying to get it for like $1 million. And I should have just paid 1.1 million. And anyway, within the week it was gone, full ask price. So, you know, you got to be out there, you got to be ready. Steph says, hello from Indonesia. Hello, Steph. Born with Silver Spoon says, I'm from India. How you doing, Silver Spoon? Namaste. All right, so official real estate Steve wants to go live. Sure, let's try it out. Steph from Indonesia says, "Come to Indonesia. There's so many good offers." I'm good right now. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
I'm doing good. So, what question do you have for me today?
Wonderful. I just wanted to ask a question of what's the tax approach you actually use towards where you're able to make money? You know, because I know there's a 1031 you can actually use and all of that. But like, what if it actually run out? I think you have a couple of days. I think it's like a month and a week.
You basically it's 6 months.
Okay.
You got about 6 months. But let me ask you this: how many deals have you done?
I haven't done. I'm trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can before.
I'll give you a tip.
Okay.
I had that same thinking,
and
I didn't do any deals.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's not a worry, because at the end of the day, let me tell you this, brother. If you make $50,000, you're not gonna care about paying no tax.
Okay.
Just think about that. If you're making $50,000, you're not gonna care about paying some tax. You know, so worry about making the 50. Don't worry about paying tax on 50. You know, just think of it that way. And there's a bunch of tax rules, even if you are making 50 in profit. There's a bunch of tax rules you can use to reduce your profit even more. You can put your company through an LLC. With the new Trump tax law, you get a 20% off the top anyway, so it reduces your 50 down to 40. There's a bunch of rules out there that it's not really a concern. So yes, you have a valid point, but don't worry about it. Like, it's in the big scheme of things, your biggest concern, and every big real estate investor says this: you make your money in the buy. Your biggest focus is buying a good deal in a good area. And again, if you end up selling and you pay some tax, it's not a big deal. It's better for you to make the money, right? And again, probably at most people's tax bracket, most people, what's the tax bill on 50,000? Like, most people aren't going to pay more than 10 grand, which I'd rather make 40 grand than make nothing.
I see.
You know? And in the real estate world, another really important point is this. A lot of people are like, I don't want to get a loan. I don't want to pay all that interest. I don't want to pay this. I don't want to pay someone to paint it. I'd rather paint it myself. I don't want to pay someone to do this work. I'd rather do it myself. That is that thinking process will usually keep many people from doing any deals, and it'll keep many people from making any profit. Real estate is a team game. It took me a while to learn that, because I used to paint myself. I used to do everything myself. And I realized I was hurting myself. I was not helping myself. You know, if you find a good painter, he deserves the money. If you find a good tile guy, he deserves the money. And the bank is giving you 80%, 90% of the property's purchase price, and only taking a little bit of interest. That's a bad deal for them, and that's a good deal for you. So don't be worried about spreading around. Because I learned one thing in the beginning, when I learned how the financial system works in America. Until the government makes taxes, until the county makes taxes, until the bank makes money, until you pay your insurance, until you pay the water, the garbage, the electric, you can't make money. So what you should figure out is, how do I make sure everybody else makes money and I can get a small cut? Because that's how all the big companies work. They're just like, let me make a tiny cut. Walmart makes what? 2% off of what it sells.
Yep.
That's how the game works.
I see. That's good. Another question I have, when it comes on to contractors, like, how do you approach like a person of like doing a job to say like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? Do you like pay them like layer by layer? Do you have this one contractor do the entire house, or do you get like a plumber off Craigslist? Do you get like a painter do you know, or like, do you actually chop up the work, or do you use like one specific person who have like a bunch of person that he actually manage, or is the boss off?
So I get your question, and it really comes down to each property, right? If you're just buying a property that's already being rented, right, and it has tenants in it, you most of the time don't need a general contractor that's going to have multiple subs underneath him. Mostly you're going to buy the property that's already rented. All you're going to do is get the outside painted. So what you're going to be doing is spending time getting people in your circle, network, and you're going to ask them, who's a good painter? They're going to tell you. Who's a good guy to pressure wash the building before painting? They're going to tell you. And you're going to get referrals. The best thing you could do is get a referral, because you know they're going to do a good job. Because when you're going on Craigslist and you're going on these different websites and you're finding these people and you talk to, let's just say, 3 or 4 people and you get 3 or 4 quotes, you did a good job to figure out who's going to give you the best price. But at the end of the day, the person who gives you the best price doesn't mean they're going to do the best job.
They're good, yeah.
So by getting a referral, they might tell you, hey, so-and-so isn't the cheapest, but he's worth every penny because he does a great job. Mm-hmm. It's really important to paint something once and be good for 10 years.
Yeah.
They have paid for it twice and get it painted twice.
Yeah.
So it's really contingent on the job and what you're doing. Normally, in the beginning, you're not going to go in. So I would it's extremely unlikely that someone's going to go in and do a full remodel. So I wouldn't think about that. Like, you're unlikely, you could, but it's unlikely you're going to buy something that's a total disaster.
Yeah.
And that you're going to need a general contractor and pull permits and do all this crazy work. Most likely what you're going to buy is something that's like
in between.
It's in between, maybe a little bit beat up cosmetically.
Yeah.
So most of the biggest money you're going to make in the sense of return on time and return on investment into upgrades is going to be cosmetic repairs. Painting, tiling, painting inside, putting in plants, stuff like that. That's maybe a $10,000 total investment, inside, outside. Plants, painting inside, outside, and new flooring. And that $10,000 is probably going to give you $20,000, $30,000 in value.
Okay.
Compared to like the deals I'm doing now are roofing, electrical, plumbing, and whatever. When you get to that level, it's a different game, and you shouldn't really be concerned about that game, because it's definitely a different game, and you need to have the right people on your squad to be able to pull it off, because it can become challenging.
Okay, I see. Like I actually listen Liu, and I listen to all type of realtor and people who flip houses, because it's actually something that I actually want to go into. I was in a car accident and everything. This actual junk driver hit the truck I was in and everything, and I'm not able to work, and like I'm like at the end of where the lawsuit to pay out and all of that, So like I really it was actually it's my dream of actually going into that, where I don't have to work for anybody, But I am actually an immigrant, so like I don't really understand the tax situation. So I'm actually
what city are you in?
I'm actually in Detroit now, Michigan, but me and my wife is thinking of moving to Atlanta, Georgia, because even houses are cheap here in Detroit, but because of the high rate of like crimes and violence and all of that, we're trying to go to
the unemployment rate and things like that. Like I was mentioning before, prices cheap is dependent on the income you bring in
and the location.
So when you're ready to do the taxes, and I got tax questions, I have an accounting firm. I can definitely handle those things for you. When you're making moves on what you're going to buy, and you need a financial review of the market you're going to buy in, let me know. I can review the area and give you my opinion on it. Be very careful on the money you spend, because the money you're going to get into a car accident, I'm very sorry that happened to you, and I got into car accidents too, and it screwed me up too. But you only get that money one time.
That's the thing.
And what they're giving you this money for is this. They're going to say, hey, all the pain you're going to receive, that you're going to feel in the future when you're old
Yeah.
or in 10 years,
Yeah.
don't come back to me.
That's
you're getting
it.
money one time.
That's the
And you
thing.
take all this money and you're going to go invest this money to make sure you're good when you're older.
Mm-hmm.
But be very careful on how you spend that money. Do not spend it on anything fun. Spend it only on investments to secure your future.
Yep.
And you're gonna it should go into the right direction. So good luck with that, brother. God bless. And when the time comes, feel free to hit me up and we'll move forward with the next parts.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, man.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, guys. So we have only a few more I think minutes. Let me try to drill through these questions real quick. All right. Wow, I got a lot of questions here. Big John says, question, I bought a lot in cash in a very expensive area of town. The lot will be worth 1/3 of the total new construction build. What is the best way to get a loan to build a house? So normally in Florida or in the United States, you can use if you bought the lot cash, you can actually put the lot up as collateral for a loan. So you can say the lot's worth $100,000. Here, I'm going to let you lean against it. So if I screw up, you can take my lot. But I need you to put up the other $300,000 to build it. And then normally they'll give you the $300,000 as a loan. You get a licensed builder, and then they're going to slowly give him the money to build it. So once they do the foundation, they check, yep, you did the foundation, here you go, here's the money for the builder. Then the builder does the next part. He frames up the house. Then they give him more money. And each time he does something, they give him money. So they don't give him all the money so he doesn't just run away with your money. So it's actually, a good way to do things. What's up, Carlos? What's up, Bonilla? Big John says, I'm a builder, but finally pulling the trigger on my first house. Awesome. Live Free says, what about if you don't have money? Then work for somebody and learn the business by working. Save up the money. Because if you don't have any money and you have no experience, you should not be getting into the game because you're going to be eaten alive, right? You're going to end up screwing up. You're going to end up getting foreclosed on and then I'll buy the property for really cheap. So be careful. Because they don't play games. They're not gonna, there's no, I'm sorry, I didn't know. They'll be like, oh, sucks. All right, we're taking it back to you and selling it to someone else. So you don't want to lose your money. Study your market. Carlos says, Official Real says, could you talk about the tax approach you use? If you could explain it and how you make money. Basically, I'm just constantly buying and renting so I don't have to worry about taxes, I rarely sell. If I do sell, I do a 1031 exchange. Steph says, $100,000 you can buy a good house. Sell it or rent it. I would not pay $100,000 for a house. I would only put down $20,000 in a house, get a mortgage for $80,000, and rent it and buy 4 other houses. But I wouldn't buy houses because I buy multifamily properties. So I'd buy 2 or 3 fourplexes, have 12 people paying me rent, and now you're comfortable. Ashish says, why real estate is so expensive in Canada? It depends what part of Canada you're in. If it's expensive in the part of Canada you're in, it's probably a high demand area. If you go to the outside cities around that main city, you're going to be able to find still a lot of good real estate for better prices. I am says, good story, great learning. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Says, next question is how to start in India. You can start in real estate the same way everywhere. You save up enough money by working hard or working for someone else, another investor, and then you can basically have enough money for a down payment and get the rest of the money from the bank. Some people will let you work for them for very cheap in exchange for a cut of the deal in a real estate deal. So that's another option. Briggs says, what problems did you notice between your first and your most recent deal? Most of my problems came from knowledge. And then when I got mentors, I was able to figure out how to resolve those problems because they already went through the problem themselves. It was helping me to avoid it. Hugo says, do you need a realtor to buy your first property? No, you do not need a realtor to buy your first property. But if it's on the MLS, then you have to use a realtor because it's there too. You can buy a property directly from somebody. So I bought a property recently from the guy, from himself directly. And, I got the deal. Zay says, thank you. You're welcome, Zay. Ashraf says,